Swan and Edward Cullen are finally married. We get the serene forest ceremony at the Cullen home, completely bathed in candlelight and surrounded by flowers. Even Jacob Black, despite his own profound heartbreak, steps out of the wilderness just to support Bella's happiness. Then, the newlyweds retreat to the private, completely isolated Isle Esme for their honeymoon. Bella is utterly overwhelmed by a happiness she's frankly never known. Yet, beneath this tranquil surface, Edward remains intensely, painfully careful. He's constantly holding back his devastating vampire strength. It's a fragile, very fragile piece.
Part 2. An impossible threat. The deadly anomaly.
And just like that, the serenity of Isle Esme is ripped away by a biological impossibility, a discovery that turns a dream into a waking nightmare. Let's trace the terrifying velocity of this threat. Day 1, the impossible is realized. Bella is pregnant. By day 3, the unborn child is already growing at a violent, completely unnatural speed. And by day 5, the physical toll becomes horrifying. Bella's health rapidly deteriorates. Her flesh pales, she becomes skeletal, literally wasting away as this unnatural entity inside her aggressively drains her very life force.
The emotional core of this crisis is just staggering. Edward is absolutely terrified. He's watching the woman he loves being consumed from the inside out, and his immediate, desperate instinct is to remove the child to save her life. But Bella refuses. She already feels a profound love for this unborn baby. She makes a conscious, unyielding choice. She's willing to sacrifice her own life, and with that decision, her fate seems completely sealed.
Part 3. The Pack Divided. The Sacred Laws of the Supernatural.
A choice like this doesn't just affect the mother. The ripples reach far, far beyond the Cullen house as the external world reacts violently to this unprecedented anomaly. So, the crucial point is how this life-or-death scenario completely fractures the ancient werewolf pack. To the wolves, this unknown hybrid child is a fundamental threat to humanity. Their law dictates a brutal but simple solution. Bella and the baby must be destroyed. But Jacob Black, driven by his own fierce loyalty, outright refuses to obey the Alpha's command. He severs his ties. He steps directly between the pack and the Cullens, choosing to protect Bella at all costs.
Meanwhile, the claustrophobia inside the Cullen house is just suffocating. Look at how the dynamics shift under the pressure. Carlisle is engaged in a desperate, frantic search for any sort of medical miracle. Rosalie steps in as a fierce, unmovable shield for the unborn child. And the physical horror, it peaks as the baby grows so inexplicably strong, it actually begins snapping Bella's bones from the inside. But then, a turning point. Edward, using his telepathy, suddenly hears the baby's thoughts. He realizes the child isn't some monster acting out of malice. It already deeply loves Bella. The terror remains, absolutely, but the resentment vanishes.
Part 4. The Price of Life. The Tragic Climax.
Time has run out. The inevitable has arrived. The childbirth isn't a medical procedure. It's a violent, chaotic emergency. Edward is forced to perform a brutal delivery just to save the infant. The baby, Renesmee, takes her first breath. But the sheer trauma is simply too much for a fragile human body to withstand. As Jacob watches in utter agony, Bella's heart finally stops. The silence in the room is deafening. A life given for a life lost. But Edward refuses to accept this ending, which leaves us with the ultimate chilling question. Will the venom work in time?
Okay, let's dive into this. Let's examine the brutal mechanics of this transformation. Step 1. In an act of pure desperation, Edward bypasses a traditional bite and injects his own venom directly into Bella's lifeless body, straight into her heart. Step 2. This supernatural toxin acts as a violent catalyst. It spreads rapidly, forcing its way through her deadened veins. But, Step 3, her human heartbeat continues to fade. The overwhelming grip of death is closing in, threatening to claim her completely before the venom can even take hold.
Part 5. An Eternal Awakening. The Unbreakable Bond. As her fate hangs in the balance in the darkness, a very different kind of magic ignites outside the room. Believing Bella to be dead, Jacob's crushing grief twists into a murderous rage directed at the child. He storms in to end the newborn's life, but he's stopped dead in his tracks by ancient lore. Now, what's really interesting about this is the phenomenon of imprinting. The exact moment Jacob's eyes meet the infant's, an involuntary, unbreakable bond is forged. It's a sacred law to werewolf kind. This instant connection secures absolute protection for Renesmee and forces an immediate end to all hostility from the werewolf pack. A brewing war is averted, simply by a look.
But back in the shadows, Bella is fighting a solitary, agonizing battle. The transformation is far from peaceful. Her body burns with an intense, unimaginable fire as the venom aggressively rewrites her cellular structure. We see the slow, dark erasure of her mortality. Every painful human memory, the fragile emotional moments of her past, the very sound of her own heartbeat, they all slowly disappear into the fire. The venom consumes her human frailties, completing the dark transition from human to immortal.
The burning stops, the silence returns, and then a pair of bright, piercing crimson eyes open for the very first time. Her new, eternal life has officially begun. As we wrap up this explainer, I leave you with this to ponder. She sacrificed her humanity for love, but what does eternity truly cost?